It's been 60 years since the BMW Neue Klasse, and back then it was to redefine the BMW brands. And here we are today with the iX3. It's the first that's going to be the Neue Klasse car in production that you can actually buy today. And it's all about changing with the times. I'm talking the design itself, we're talking technology, and when it comes to this EV platform, we're talking range and charging speed. But this thing has loads of technology, more than I could probably talk to you about in this video. But let's start with the design. Looking at the front, this is very Neue Klasse. When we look at what they had before back in the day, and also the concept car as well, it gives a lot of nod to what we had before. Look at this light here. I think it's nice and modern. It's very snazzy, this slim profile front here. And this is not actually a grille. This houses all the ADAS system because we have a lot of tech in this, which I really love because I'm all about the tech. The headlights are there as well, gives a whole nod to back in the day and also what BMW looks like. So if you see this on the road, it's very, very BMW. Even down here, we have this active curtains here as well, which helps with the aerodynamic nature of this. So we're talking up to 500 miles on the WLTP, which that would depend on which trim level you go for and also which alloys you select, because some have aero built in and some don't. And then we look at the side curtains as well. Again, helps direct air in the right flow, in the right direction. We look at this bonnet here. It's not too creasy, if that's a word, but it's nice and subtle. It's very BMW. I kind of like it. And honestly, they haven't overdone it. And I think that's what this is all about. Over on the side, we have a very short overhang. And then the alloys on this particular version, this is aero. And you can spec this up to 22-inch alloys, depending on which trim level you go for. So we have the standard base level, so the 50. In fact, I should probably say on this launch, we're only going to be testing the 50. So we have this xDrive 50, there's also xDrive Sport and also xDrive Sport Pro. The good thing though is whichever one you go for, you are getting a lot of tech as standard, which I really like. But back to this bit, you can see you can spec this up for different wheel design. I set the video in so you can see some of the designs we have on show today. And like I said, you can have up to 22-inch alloys on this. Whichever one you go for, be careful because that will affect the ride quality in terms of the road noise that you get from the tires. We'll talk about that when I talk about the driving experience. And then moving over to the side here, we have wristless door handles, which helps with aero, so it kind of just sits flush with the car. There's no drastic creases anywhere, which I really like. Simple line just leaning towards the back to give it a nice compact feel and compact look. In fact, it's starting to look like a tall estate car rather than an SUV, which isn't a bad thing. And then over on the side here, towards the back, again, nice and clean. It's just tidy. I really like it. Over on that side is where we get the charging ports. This is built on an 800-volt architecture, which means you can charge this up very quickly, more than 200 miles in around 10 minutes or so, which I think makes this very, very practical. And then over on the back, I think it looks stylish as well. This is the M Sport, not the M Sport Pro, so this is what I'm driving today. Like I was saying earlier, you get the standard iX3. There's also the M Sport and then an M Sport Pro. This is the M Sport, which I'm driving today. And on this, you can see it looks very stylish as well. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And you get the iX350 badge on the back here. The only way you'd know that this is electric really is that green tab here and also no exhaust. Nice diffuser, looks nice and low to the ground, which I think overall looks really good. Your window wipers there as well. And then we open the boot. We get plenty of boot space in here. We're talking 550 litres of boot space. Obviously it's got all my rubbish in there right now. And also on the flooring space for your cable as well. There's also space in the frunk to store things. I think it's around 58 litres of frunk space. You can fold the seats down and it goes up to 1750 litres. So again, very practical, big aperture, no lip here, so easy to load things in and out. And this is also electronic as well. So just makes things nice and easy and practical. So as soon as you jump in the back seat, the first thing you notice is how plush it is. It's very luxurious. We're talking this material that's used in here. But one thing I love about BMW here is the fact that you can spec this up for the voice commander speaking up the voice.
How to help you with that.
I don't need your help right now, thank you. We were going to talk about that later on, but that's an example of the kind of intelligent system that you have in here. But back to this, the seat is very comfortable. You can spec this up for different materials, different colors. And then if you're in for the M Sport Pro, you get M Sport seats, which I kind of like. I would have preferred to having this. You've got 2 USB-C ports here and plenty of room for my knees. This is how I would sit in the front as a driver, and I'm 5'11". So plenty of room here for my knees, plenty of headroom as well. Big panoramic sunroof that adds a bit of sense of space in the car as well. And for a lovely day like this is just perfect to have in here. It's tinted as well, so you don't get loads of like just sun hitting your head as you sit in the car. There's a little gap here thing to attach accessories as well. Loads of space in the door cabin, which is really good. Climate control here for the passengers. And because this is built from the ground up, you got flat flooring here, so if you sit someone in the middle, they'll have no problem storing their feet with no issues at all. Plenty of space to tuck in my feet as well as a passenger here. And then to take that further, we have an armrest here with 2 cup holders here, but I like that it's you know, forward, because that way you don't sink your elbow. You guys know that's a thing that I really hate in terms of my elbow just sinking into the cup holder or the bottle holder. And then one thing you can also do as well, which you probably won't notice straight away, is that you can recline the seats as well. So if I just move this like here, so I can sit forward like so, and I can pull the tab and go just a bit more backwards. So that way I can just sit down and relax myself for a long journey. So to sit 3 adults here, no problems at all. Over on the front, what you notice is there's tech everywhere. Everything is very techy. We've got 2 USB-C ports there, wireless charging is there for your phone as well. And we've got a panoramic vision or view in front of us, which is a projected screen, which means it's always in your field of view, and you can put up to 6 widgets in there as well. So you can adjust that just the way that you want it. And then here we get this fancy, snazzy 18-inch display here, which is the iDrive system. One thing you notice, we don't have that iDrive roller here anymore, the scrolling knob here. They've moved that because everything is now here, and it's very intuitive as well. It just works. It's very smooth, one of the smoothest I've seen in a car. Then you have the steering wheel as well, which is kind of fancy, it's different. And this is the M Sport steering that you get in this trim level, and I kind of like it. I think it's kind of cool the way they've done it. You got this haptic feedback buttons on here, and one thing that's also nice is there's a park button on here that disappears as soon as you start to drive above 20 miles per hour. I did say to BMW that there's a missed opportunity here, making that, here we go again. No thank you.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
No thank you. And then one thing I said to the guys, I'm not going to say that word again, is there's a missed opportunity here with this P button, because when it disappears, it would be nice to be able to have that to be dynamic. So that changes into something else like a drive mode button, because otherwise you have to press a button here to get into your drive mode, which sometimes can be annoying. There is a quick button to turn off things like the sound that comes on when you go over speed limit warning, all that kind of stuff, which is good. And then over here, I like the way that this is suspended, more space here to store things. And then underneath here, you can store more things as well. You have Harman Kardon sound system, head-up displays there as well. So in total, you're getting that big display, this display, and head-up display as well. Let's talk more about this display and how it works. The iDrive system, which is the latest generation. Like I said, it works so smoothly. It's very fluid, really good stuff. I like the way they've arranged things. So at the bottom here is always going to be constant. So whether you want to go to your applications, whether you want to go to climate control, whether you want to go to home section to change settings, it's always going to be there for you to change whatever you need. And your sat nav is always there as well. And that park button as well, which I'll talk more about in a second. And then we have this drag system here. We can drag the top area, which gives you quick access to things like your head-up display settings, panoramic vision display settings, and also your driving experience. You can quickly change some of that here as well. But what you can also do is, once we scroll up, so if you put that back up, we can also press this button here, which allows us to change our drive modes. So you've got personal, sports, efficient, and silent. You can then configure your personal drive mode, for example. So you got things like the display style, because it changes to whatever the mode is. So you got driving experience, so comfort, etc. You can set that up. So if we go to individual, for example, we can go to setup, or we can change the way the steering feels, for example, which I kind of like sports, and then everything else can stay how you want to. One thing I'll point out while we're here is the energy recovery level. You can change that to be adaptive, low, moderate, or high. When you have into adaptive, everything is intelligently controlled. So the car would know how much regeneration you need every time you're driving in different scenarios. So you can play about with that. But for me, I think moderate is probably the one that I like, because when you have it, when it's too high, it just feels too much. You feel your whole self just move forward, because the car is heavy. It's more than 2.2 tons just above that. And by the way, this can tow up to 2.5 tons. I just thought I'd mention that while I remember now. But back to the settings here. That's the kind of thing you can do. And then also on the side here, you'll always see some options as well, which you can play with. So if I was on sat nav, for example, so you can see the status of the car at all times by just tapping that area there. And that's really cool. They've thought about the way you navigate the system here. Let's have a look at the car settings, because there's a lot of assistance available. So if you go to assistance here, we've got steering assistance, we've got distance control, all kind of stuff. And then safety, loads of safety equipment available to you to keep you nice and safe on the road. One thing that's not available just yet is your motorway assistant, which that is pretty cool. That's something I was looking forward to trying, but they haven't homologated that yet. That's something that allows you to look at the mirror, left or right, and the car would, on the motorway, automatically change lanes for you, and also advise you on when to move over to the middle lane, to the left lane, all that kind of stuff. It's very, very intelligent. And then we've got your parking stuff, which this is fun as well. We got some parking controls available. So if I tap this button here, We've got loads of sensors and cameras around the car that allows you to park the car automatically by itself. For example, I'll put some footage on the screen of that happening. So the car can find spaces for you, whether it's parallel parking, whether it's bay parking, it can do that for you. If you're in a tight space, for example, you can also use your phone to remotely park the car or move the car out of tight spaces. Those things that make the car even more practical than ever. So with the assistance, it will help you. So it's not doing everything for you per se, it's just there to assist you to park safely in spaces that you might not be able to park yourself. Back to the car settings, we then have options for your driving dynamics again. Like I was saying, it's the driving sound. You might want to change that if you want. Your chassis, the way that works. And you got your charging stuff as well, then lighting. Seats, we got massage here. So look at that, seat control for the front passengers, really good stuff. And then your display settings, you can adjust the style. You got your panoramic vision display. You can select which content goes on there, for example. And then your head-up display as well. We have this augmented reality system on there, which overlays arrows and stuff like that on the road. I'm not a massive fan of it, to be honest with you, but it's there. So you can turn it on or off, entirely up to you. Audio system, Harman Kardon system. You can change the equalizer if you know what you're doing. So you can adjust that accordingly to what you want to do. But that's pretty much it in terms of what you can do here. There's a lot more that's in there, here and there, but those are the cool things that I really love about this system here. More on the panoramic vision display, I was talking about how you can modify this. By the way, that's the personal assistant there, which is also AI powered. So you can ask loads of different questions whilst you're on the road. The car itself has four sensors or processors that are managing things, and that's one of them in there. You got the core one, you got one for the ADAS system, you got one for the driving performance and so on. One of them, I think, or all of them, are actually powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon as well, which there's a whole different video about that somewhere else, which we won't talk about in this video. But what you can do on here is modify what you can see there, like I was saying. So you can have like BMW maps there, you can have your trip information, you can have your driving dynamics information there as well. That's picking up the keyword again. But yeah, you can sort of change what you can see in that middle area, or the whole thing as well. And when you're driving, the maps in that middle will always automatically come when there's an important next direction to take. So that will change to the maps. Otherwise, you can just change that to your music and it will navigate and show you all that kind of stuff. So I think they've done a fantastic job with this. And the great thing about this is, regardless of the lighting condition, it will always be visible because it's projection. So whether it's too bright, whether it's too dark, there's no reflection, nothing. It's always going to work really well. Right, next up, let's talk about the driving experience, because finally we can drive this on the UK road to see how well it's going to handle the way our roads are. But before we get into that though, let's talk about some of the stats. So this is capable of 0 to 62 in 4.9 seconds. It's 463 horsepower and top speed is around 130 miles per hour. And in terms of the torque, 645 Newton meters of torque, which isn't too shabby at all. All these numbers I think are very good. They're great numbers because this is a heavy car. It's just over 2.2 tons, which, yeah, it's a heavy car. The battery is also placed in a way low to the ground for lower center of gravity, and you still get 50-50 weight distribution, which I think is incredible what they've done there. There's no air suspension in this, but you still get really good level of comfortability when you're driving around. It's not that forgiving on this pothole-ridden roads in the UK. You still kind of feel it, but it's not that bad at all. One thing that I found annoying a little bit was road noise, but more from the tyre and also the road surfaces here in the UK. So that I can maybe forgive BMW for that, but besides that though, I need to turn this up because every time I say the word, the keyword, it just comes up with the intelligent personal assistant. Don't worry, thank you. But anyway, back to what I was saying. When it comes to the comfort level on the UK roads, I think it's still decent. It's not the best, but it's still decent. You still kind of feel well connected to the road in terms of feeling everything on the road. Wind noise is kept at bay, which is absolutely fantastic, especially when you're riding on the motorway. When it comes to the handling, I think it depends on which drive mode you're using. So if the steering is configured to sport mode, I think it's nicely weighted, just the way that I like it. But this will be a matter of preference thing, because if you're having comfort, there's more input that you have to do in terms of how much you have to turn and stuff. This is not steer by wire, so you still have to do kind of a bit more turning to get to where you want to get to. Well, all that aside though, I think handling is pretty decent, especially for a car that weighs this much. You chuck it around corners, I think it does decently. You still feel the body leaning and stuff like that. So this is where the M Sport Pro's bucket seats, or the seats, sportier seats, the M Sport seats, would actually maybe feel better, maybe, who knows. But that aside, I think it's really good. This intelligent regeneration system, I think, is really good because it knows how much regeneration you need every time you take your foot off the accelerator as well. Depending on which road condition, which speed, and all that kind of stuff, it will know exactly what you need. The brakes are really good as well. It takes a bit getting used to sharp at first, but once you've started to drive for a little bit, you quickly get used to the way that this handles in terms of the braking and stuff like that. On the motorway, this is so comfortable. Honestly, you can drive for a very long time without feeling fatigue. You got seat massage there for you as well. And one thing that I really wanted to test on this launch event is to actually try this motorway assist system, which is where it can take over. So hands off, eyes on the road system that they've got here, almost like level 2, driver assistance system. That's one thing I really wanted to try out, but that's not coming just yet. But don't worry though, if you get one of these, you'll be able to just activate that once it's all like homologated and it's all signed off and approved to be used on the UK roads. But that side though, lane keep assist work really well. It's not jarring. It doesn't often pull you off the road like some cars do out there. And like I was saying as well, this augmented reality thing on the head-up display is something that I would turn off straight away. If this was my car, that's something I would turn off straight away. But it's there if you need it. It's just extra tech. So there's loads of technology in here that you can play around with and configure just the way that you want it to be. But generally, the driving experience here, I think, is really good. And this car is just a great all-rounder in terms of you get a good level of range. So 500 miles is what they've quoted. But I think you won't get exactly that. It will depend on your driving style, which configuration of car you've gone for. But I reckon if you're still getting 380 miles, 350, 380 miles, that's still pretty good. That's still practical. And then combine that with a fast charge system. We're talking that 800 volt architecture. If you manage to find one, you'll be able to charge this up very quickly. It's also capable to still handle 400 volts. So if you can't find the 800 one, you're still going to be charging very quickly. So that side of things is being ticked off straight away. Decent level of speed, I think 0 to 62 in 4.9 seconds is not too bad at all. You're able to pull off straight away, and the power delivery is good as well. Look at that. It just goes. It's just really nice the way they've done it, and different drive modes are available as well to help you achieve just the experience that you want to achieve. But overall though, this is a massive piece of technology on wheels, which puts a lot of smile on my face. This panoramic vision in front here, I think is such a wonderful idea because it's within my peripheral vision, and I can keep my eyes on the road and still be able to see all the important information that I need to see. But yes, overall, really good stuff. Good handling, good acceleration, good speed, good space in the car as well. So it ticks so many boxes that makes this very good. It's kind of more expensive than the Model Y to start with in terms of like the base model. But I think you're getting a lot more for your money in this car compared to the Model Y. And you can compare it to like the likes of the Audi competition as well, and you know, GLC and stuff like that. But I think you're getting a good BMW experience here and loads of technology as well. I've said it again. But overall, great experience, and I've really enjoyed my time with this, and yeah, really good stuff. But let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have any questions, drop them there as well. I'll do my best to answer your question. Some of the stuff I forgot to mention actually is this steering as well. It takes a bit of getting used to because it's a weird shape, and sometimes I almost forget which side is pointing at until you see the BMW logo, and then you kind of see the logo is pointing in the right direction. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. I just thought, as I was looking at the steering, I should mention that before I forget. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.